What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Breaking Barriers with Bree. Man, I am so excited to get this podcast started. First of all, I want to say thank you for listening. As soon as I announced this podcast last Wednesday, I just got an outpouring of love and support from you all. I felt so special. I seriously have some of the best family and friends around. And I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. As a sports reporter myself, if you haven't met me already, I'm sure you have. Hi, everyone. My name's Bree Sorensen, and I'm a sports reporter located in Dallas, Texas right now. I've met so many interesting and inspiring friends and colleagues along my journey so far, and I'm so excited to share them with you. The people who I personally know who have given me that energy and inspiration in the sports world. Because let me tell you, the sports industry is cutthroat and not always as glamorous as it seems. So you need that support system. So I hope each person you hear from on this podcast adds a little bit of joy and encouragement to your day. Also, I hope it provokes some topics you may have never thought about. I want this podcast to be a safe space for people to share their story about breaking barriers in the sports industry. It's currently my off season. Summer definitely slows down for me as a sports reporter since there aren't many college sports happening right now. It's my little vacation time. My good friend, Brian Burton, who I call basketball games with over at SMU, Dream Team Brian, couldn't forget to say that, Dream Team, Brian and the Rising Coaches organization reached out to me and encouraged me to start this podcast, and I took it as a sign from God because I've been wanting to start a podcast for a while now, especially with the experiences I've had in the sports industry. And when Brian reached out, I was like, okay, now's the time. Let's do this. For Breaking Barriers, I plan on having a lot of special guests, maybe do some Q&A sessions, a lot of exciting things in store. So stay tuned. But with that being said, let's jump into it. Today's guest is the definition of breaking barriers, specifically breaking barriers for women. Her main gig is a journalist, host, and activist, amplifying topics that need to be talked about and telling stories that need to be heard. She's told the stories of some pretty cool people, just to name a very few: Serena and Venus Williams, Skylar Diggins, Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, Brittany Griner, Diana Taurasi, Malala Yousafzai, Angel Reese, and so many more. If that's not enough already, she has an insane amount of accolades. She was inducted into the 2021 Forbes 30 Under 30 sports class. Like, how cool is that? She had her very own special edition Wilson basketball made. Like, goals. She recently was invited to the White House with LSU's women's basketball team to cover their national championship celebration. She might have my vote for president one day as well. She's the original founder of Bleacher Report's social media account, Highlight Her, which currently has over 238,000 followers. And one of my personal favorites, she had a tweet which was typed out, "The WNBA is so important." And eventually this tweet went so viral, it turned into Twitter Sports' WNBA 25th anniversary campaign. That's right, the tweet blew up so much they made a whole campaign about it. She's such an amazing advocate for women's equality and empowerment in sports. I'm so honored to welcome my first guest on Breaking Barriers, Arielle Chambers, or better known as Ari. We have here the one and only Ari Chambers in the building, our Zoom building over here. Ari, how's it going? How are you today?
Now that I'm with my sister, who y'all can't see it, but maybe they can. But she has this bomb hoodie on that I've never seen in my life, and I want it so bad.
Girl, you know, I had to rep the WNBA here. I mean, because I know that is definitely a subject we're going to be talking about a little later. But Ari, before you hopped on, I got done shooting your intro for the podcast. And girl, when I say accomplishment after accomplishment after accomplishment, you have been
killing it and just growing the name of women in sports through basketball, gymnastics, you name it, every sport possible. I mean, first of all, just congratulations. You've been killing it.
Thank you, but I hope you did that intro on video because your face is freaking beat. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm distracted. Anyway.
Thank you, Ari. No, you've been killing it. But first, I want to talk about one of your most recent experiences. You had the opportunity to go to the White House with the LSU women's basketball team. How cool is that? How did that get started? How did they invite you? Tell me about your favorite part of that experience with the Tigers.
Yeah, no, life comes at you fast, right? I found out that I was going about 12 hours before the next day. So like 3:40 p.m. The day before, but shout out to Jamie McFarland and Erica, who's in the press office. They thought that it was necessary for Black media to be there, for young media to be there, for people who have been present on the ground to be there. And so they extended the invite so graciously. And, you know, LSU and I, we've grown a relationship, especially in the past few months. And so it's just been really cool to be on a journey with them and grow and learn and love them. And shout out to all the beat writers who've had the privilege of covering LSU women's basketball over the years, from the Sylvia Fowles days, from the Simone Augustus days on to the Angel Reese and Flage era. Respect to y'all, because this is a new iteration and a renaissance of this team that if you blink, you miss it. And you don't want to be one of those ones that misses it.
Absolutely not. And you just brought up the beat writers, but you yourself, this is an everyday thing for you, just shining light on these young ladies, on these women out here. So just tell me, first, I want to start off, like, what is your why? What is your motivation for getting up every day and saying, hey, like, I want to shine a light on these young women, these ladies who are a lot of times underrepresented?
The smile that you had when you were talking about LSU in the White House is like my why. People getting invested and excited about the women's game is my why. I see athletes that have been wanting to tell their story for years and just haven't had the opportunity, the courage, or even the resources to. And that's my why. The athletes who are loud and bold that always talk, maybe getting to see a different side of them is my why. My why has just always been women's sports, women's basketball in particular, but the past 5 or 6 years, I've just been able to, I've been awarded the opportunity to dive into all women's sports. And it just shows me that there's so many layers to women's athletics, women's sports, women's culture that are so untapped and should be tapped into. And so my why just is the athletes, is the fans, is the family that is women's sports.
Beautiful. Let's go back to the beginning. When was the click, like that clicking moment for you? When was that like, hey, I need to shine the light on these women in sports? When was that moment where it hit you like, I see the underrepresentation of these women in sports and I want to do something about it?
There were 3 points in my life. One was I was 6 years old, 1997. We went to the NC State women's basketball games. This was actually a frequent field trip for my elementary school. They called it the Gee Whiz NC State games, and we watched Coach K. Yao coach this bomb squad, because that back then NC State's women's basketball was like top tier, and they still are. Shout out to us. But after the game, back then they used to give us trading cards. And so after the game, I lined up to get them signed. And I remember Kristen Green signed my card. She was so nice to me, took a picture. She ended up being in the yearbook. And she didn't even finish her eligibility, but she was so nice. And that's what lured me into women's basketball. That's actually what lured me into NC State. Long story short, I was an all-star cheerleader, and the head cheerleading coach, Kathy Bucky, was the coach of the NC State cheerleaders at the time. So I have that really, really strong tie with NC State. But the niceness of this, and I was like, oh, they're so cool. I want to know more about them. But I didn't know where else to find, things as 6 years old. So it's kind of like a little mini Pepper Persley over here. But then you fast forward to high school, and my best friend, Lakivia Boykin, played basketball. I just wanted to be around her all the time. And so I quit cheerleading, became the girls basketball manager. So I got to know them, and I actually traveled with, back then they were the Gardner Flames. They're now the Carolina Flames. They're under Chris Paul's organization right now with Arnie and them. And I was able to travel with the elite basketball players and get to know a lot of them, and just being friends with them. I know they have stories to tell. And again, didn't have any stories there. So I joined the school newspaper and yearbook to make sure that they're like, if you look back on Southeast Valley High School's yearbook, you'll see the most intentional yearbook page is the women's basketball or the girls basketball page.
I love it.
And then when we fast forward to pro, I was on the in-game entertainment squad for the Knicks, Rangers, and the Liberty, and saw the discrepancy between the Liberty and the Knicks. And I was like, this is freaking ridiculous. And now I have the tools and the social media to actually post their story. So let me just go ahead and do it. So it's culmination of 96, 05, and 14 that just came together to make me me.
And it's only up from here.
Only up and stuck.
Oh, yes. No. Ari, also, I mean, like you said, you are now an inspiration to telling these stories to that next generation so that they have more hope, more inspiration. So what would you tell that little girl who is like, feels underrepresented in the media? I mean, she just is maybe feeling down on herself, doesn't think she can do it. What would you tell that little girl who doesn't have the confidence to go out and do what she wants to do?
First, I would question why she doesn't have the confidence. We need to be able to pour into the younger generation, shoot our generation. Like, we've been through trauma, girl. Oh, yeah. But pour into that so that they do have the confidence, so that they do feel empowered. So through my work of being able to tell raw, candid conversations, I hope that I'm impacting that little girl. And I know that there are other grassroots publications that show that you can be fully yourself. And I would tell that little girl, or anyone out there, to be honest, girls our age, shoot, we're still learning, we're still growing, that we don't need this huge network, huge organization to back our passion, as long as we do it with intention and consistency, and in a level of altruism that can't be argued. And so if it's placed on your heart, you can do it. And I firmly believe that if you do it enough, people will get it. Enough people that you will be able to monetize. And money is important when it comes to this. I would do this for free. However, it makes it so much sweeter that I can make a living off of it. So if it's placed on your heart, you can do it consistently, do it intentionally, and really keep that clear vision for yourself. And don't let outside opinions deter you, because if you are a true change maker, people are not going to understand. So you might not have the support you think that you deserve, but nobody owes you that support, right? So take heed to your passion, to your vision, and know within your heart that it's the right direction. Don't look for external validation with that, and just keep going.
Absolutely. And I think that's how a lot of people are able to connect with you, is you make it so authentic. You're not doing it for all the lights and show and everything. You are truly, you want to tell their stories. And I think one of my favorite campaigns, I don't know if you want to call it a moment, one of my favorite things you've done is the WNBA is so important. That tweet that then turned into the Twitter Sports 25th WNBA anniversary, their entire campaign. I mean, it blew up, but it was such almost like, it just brought so much light. I mean, it's just plain and simple. The WNBA is so important, straight to the point. What was your original first motivation behind that tweet? Why did you want to say that? And second, did you know that it was going to blow up to the magnitude that it did?
It was absolutely not a strategy at all. In 2016, I was a cheerleader. Like, I was on Torch Patrol. And when you're a cheerleader for the Liberty, you have to work the camps. And so the junior NBA camps have girls and boys. And during the summertime, WNBA players are involved with it. And Swin Cash, this is before she retired, my girl Swin, was trying to get the attention of the campers. And so she's saying, if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention, from Sister Act 2. And I recorded it on my phone. And the first thing that came to mind was the WNBA is so important. Then you fast forward to the Uncle Drew premiere at the NBA store on Fifth Avenue. And this little girl who could not have been alive when Lisa Leslie was playing basketball, but she came up to Lisa, and Lisa was so gracious to her. Again, recording it. WNBA is so important. First thing that came to mind. Then I see like people like Breanna Stewart giving her shoes to the kids in the crowd. The WNBA is so important. So it was just my first thought. It was like a knee-jerk reaction to these actions that these players were doing. And so as I was posting these, I saw the audience, my Twitter family, started tweeting me moments, and then it picked up trajectory and traction because they're feel good moments. People like when it feels good. Like, I love people that talk about X's and O's of the game. I'm typically not that. I can do that, but I love the feel good moments. Like I like to deliver the feel good moments and call that fluff journalism, call it what you want, whatever. I just love the emotional tie to women's basketball. And I think that the audience bought into that because they felt something when they saw these moments. And so fast forward to 2020 and going into 2021, when it was the 25th anniversary, Twitter saw that. And Twitter back then, and when you had TJ, when you had Maddie, when you had Brantley, when you had Sarah, like all of them were in there.
So cool.
And they got it. Twitter Sports 2 years ago freaking got it. Kelsey got it. Like they all got it. And so they saw the movement that was happening and ended up activating with me. And I am thankful. And I think that it's shown such a unique light on the women's game at that time, and people really had already bought into it in their regular life, so it was natural for it to go on linear.
To follow up to that, what do you believe are the keys to growing not only the WNBA but women's sports in general? What do you think are the keys now to get more and more people talking about it, more eyes on the game?
Investment, intention, and visibility. If you invest in the women's game, if you put the dollars in it, you see a better product. If you like take a chance, and like it's not even taking a chance anymore. If you provide merch for people, they'll buy it. If you put it in front of them, they'll watch it. It's the demand is there, so the supply should match it, and that's with intention, that's with investment, and that's with the visibility. It's a simple answer, and I don't know why over the past so many decades we've made it so difficult. Now we have a generation, Gen Z and Gen Alpha they're very much like, why is this like this? Let me challenge this. And they're coming up on a life where they haven't had to live without women in these elite spaces. Like what WNBA is in its 27th season, NWSL is getting up there too now. Now you have the PHF, you have bowling leagues, you have Athletes Unlimited, you have the WSL, like surfing, Red Bull Magnitude, big wave surfing for women. You have so many different options for women to compete at the high elite level, professional level, that you should never question whether or not we belong there.
Absolutely. I love that, Ari. Now, with all that being said, a few more lighthearted questions. I mean, that was beautiful. I couldn't have said it any better. You absolutely nailed that. But now I just want to end with a few fun questions.
Woo! I love fun.
Yeah, a few just fast, fun questions. What would be a dream interview of yours or someone you'd like to have a segment with that you haven't yet? I mean, you've already interviewed some crazy nice people, but
wow. That's actually not a fast question. That's a really difficult question because I have no idea who I haven't talked to that I would like dying to talk to. I know that initially I wanted Dominique Dawes, and I was thankful enough that I was not only able to talk to her, but pair with Team USA and sit down with the athletes for Black History Month. That was like a dream of mine, and that came true. It was literally my dream job. They were like, "Oh, this?" And I was like, "Yes, y'all." Yes. I've done vision boarding with Simone Biles, but I would want her and Gabby Douglas together. I think that would be one, because it was almost like a passing of the torch. But like, we talk about Simone, and I know people have mixed emotions with the last Olympics, but I want her to talk about her mental health there. But also Gabby Douglas, how does it feel to be on the top of the world and then just almost erased? It's such a weird erasure of Gabby Douglas that we really need to examine it. And it confuses me how it's gotten this far. So Gabby, if she's out there and just stumbles upon this, I would like love to talk to her and really like talk about her actual experiences and dig deeper, because a lot of times journalists keep it on the surface level. I don't know if it's a fear of like gymnastics culture, but I want to be able to dive a little deeper with them. And as far as basketball, this summer is going to come true. All-Star is going to come true, and y'all will see what I'm talking about. Tune into Off Top of the WNBA, because I love tapping into my history, and you'll see that with the Off Top episode we're recording.
Exciting. Plug it in.
Breaking news.
Exciting. Okay, now you cover a lot of basketball, but based on research. So did you also was gymnastics? I know you said cheer, but did you also do gymnastics?
Yeah, I had shout out North Raleigh Gymnastics, NRG.
Okay.
I did gymnastics. Like I did gymnastics, cheer, and volleyball. Those were the sports I played / did.
So I have to know.
I'm a black belt too.
I have to know, what was your favorite event in gymnastics?
Beam.
Beam. Girl,
Beam was my favorite.
scary.
I hated bars. I was never like, my triceps just never got it. Like even like the most basic levels of gymnastics, a chin up pull, like the chin ups that we had to do to drill, because you know you had to do, every elementary school ends up with a chin up, like chin up pullovers and all that stuff. Like I could not, it just was so difficult for me, any arm strength in that way. And then vault, I don't necessarily know how to harness my power like I should. Floor is natural. Like I was able to do floor my whole life because, you know, cheerleading, floor, whatever. But beam was my favorite. It challenged me in a great way. Everything from like when you're on rec and you're like dip, passe, kick. Like I just remember being like 3-4 years old, dip, passe, kick, and just all on there and having my little my tape on the ground and really loving that. But beam was my favorite event.
We need to get you back to one of the gymnastics championships and see what you got. I want to see this.
Mounting the beam now is, they had a beam on set with Team USA, and I wouldn't even know what to do. But cheerleading, I will absolutely, like, if they will have me go back on an open team, I will join tomorrow. I didn't stop cheering until 2018 though. So like cheerleading is like, if I lose my standing tuck, I lose myself. I'm a bomb back spot. Like, can't nobody touch my back spot skills. Like, I am a great back spot. I'm a decent flyer, and I'm a great jumper. So, like, I have full confidence that I could be on a world's team tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. Yes, confidence. Now, one of the last questions. Okay, you're stuck on a deserted island. Okay, and you can pick one WNBA player to help you survive. Who would you pick and why?
Who's this? Okay.
This could be like a fun question, but I mean,
okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with my friends. Are we surviving to get off the island, or am I just surviving for entertainment?
Y'all are stuck. Y'all are stuck on the island. I mean, maybe in a few months from now, but y'all are stuck right now.
Lasia would be the most responsible one and figure out a way, because their wife, Jess, would like find a helicopter. Like this is not where I was going to go with this, but if I need to get off the island, I'm calling up. Lasia's going to be on that island with me. Okay. Lasia Clarendon, because Miss Jess don't play. And Lasia has to go home to their child. Okay. And we would get off that island with a quickness. If I want to be entertained, I'm going with Natasha Cloud.
Okay.
And if I want like we're just going to stay on the island and be chill, it's going to be Amanda Zowie B.
Thank you. So that sounds like a good lineup right there. Maybe y'all all can go together on the island.
No, that would be a mess if we're all together. But Lasia is my scapegoat from the island. There we go.
Awesome. Well, Ari, thank you so much for being on this episode of Breaking Barriers. I appreciate it. Keep inspiring others. You are killing it out there. Thank you so much, Ari.
Thank you, Boo. And I hope you go somewhere, shoot a campaign with that face right now.
Thank you all so much for listening. A huge shout out to Brian Burton and the Rising Coaches Network for partnering with me and encouraging me to start this podcast. Make sure you follow Breaking Barriers with Bree on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to stay updated on upcoming guests. I have some exciting new episodes up my sleeve, so make sure to stay tuned. I'll see you guys next time.